Oftentimes I get asked, how should I squat? How do I find my squat stance? And I always say with everything, it depends on your goals. Typically, we do want to move all joints through all ranges of motion for optimal mobility and strengthening purposes, but also your specific goals are very important when trying to find the answer to this question. Me being a competitive power lifter, it is required that my hip crease goes below my knee, so squatting to depth is very important to me. So there's a couple of different ways that I've learned over the years to find your squat depth or your squat stance, but I don't agree with all of them, but I'm still going to show you which ones I have learned, and I will give you my recommendation of the best one, I feel the best one to find your ideal squat stance. So the first way is to turn around 3 times with your eyes closed, and however you land is your squat stance. I would say this is fairly close, aside from me being super dizzy. This is fairly close to my squat stance, but over the years, it has changed from that. So the second way that you can try to find your squat stance is to load up like you're going to jump, and then however you land is your squat stance. I don't necessarily agree with this one. For me personally, my squat stance is a little bit wider and my toes are turned out a little bit more, and I'll tell you why that is in just a moment. So if you notice, most people will start the squat with their feet about hip width apart, toes pointed forward. That works for some people. It does not work for me. As you can see, when I try to go down, this is about as low as I can get without having to round my back and kind of create space where the body doesn't have it. So it doesn't have it here at the hip, so it might create space by rounding that lower back. And under maximal load, that's not necessarily what I want to do. So I'll show you from the side what that looks like. Hopefully y'all can see me. Toes are pointed forward. I go to squat down. This is about as far as I can go before I feel that resistance in my hips. If I were to try to go down lower, you're going to see my lower back rounds. Like I said, it's not necessarily a terrible thing, but under maximum load, that's not necessarily what I'm going for. So when I turn my toes out just a little bit, you will see how much easier it is for me to get well beyond the depth that I need to get for competition. But also, that's a really good mobility, sign of mobility. I'll show you what this looks like from the side. Toes pointed out about 45 degrees, feet are still shoulder width apart, and when I squat down, I can get well below depth pretty comfortably. Now the hip is not the only limiting factor. Sometimes you'll see when people squat, their heels come off the ground, which can be a sign of limited ankle mobility. So we'll find that people are pitching forward in the squat. Once again, the body kind of trying to create space. But the reason why I can't go down much further than this is because of how my femur articulates with my pelvis. So you wouldn't really know what type of pelvis and femur articulation you have unless you had an x-ray and you could see it. But one way to tell is, you go down and you just stop, right? That is, in very basic terms, the femur running into the pelvis, right? Runs out of room. So by externally rotating the femur, kind of gets that femur out of the way, which allows me to go a lot deeper. So my suggestion to you, try all of those methods and just figure out what is comfortable for you and what allows you to move through those ranges of motion while staying stable and while feeling comfortable.